Hey guys, how are you? Okay, I'm gonna quick go to present mode. We'll see if this works. Okay, so I'm back. Hi, how are you? If you remember from last time, my name is Julie and my business is The Garter Girl, but I also have another side of my business at juliannesmith.com where I help other wedding businesses handle their Pinterest and SEO and blogging and all kinds of other things. So I'm so happy to be here for part two of how to do Pinterest and get more business from it in the wedding industry, specifically for you guys, the wedding dress shop owners and people who are the brick and mortar of the wedding industry. So if you haven't had a chance, please go and watch my first video that I did about how to find your clients on Pinterest, because that really provided an overview of how Pinterest worked and sort of why things are important. Because in this next video, we're going to get into the weeds a little bit. We're going to get into the specifics about how to clean up your Pinterest account and how to set your foundation. Okay. So but I'm not going to go over anything that I talked about in the first video, so I'm going to jump right here to the second one. All right, so I really want to make sure that you watch that because it's really important to do that. And for this one too, if you want to grab a piece of paper or a pencil and some paper, because I am going to talk about specifics and things to do, okay? So really quick, as I mentioned before, my name is Julie. My business is The Garter Girl. My information is at the bottom of all these slides. So please reach out to me, email me, DM me. You can find me at gartergirl.com where I hand make wedding garters, or over at the Julianne Smith where I help lots of other wedding businesses like you get control of their Pinterest. All right, so today we're going to talk about how to clean up your Pinterest account, how to set your foundation, and actually get to the pinning. Okay, so I'm going to apologize because I don't know. Okay, so this is the last slide that I had on my first presentation, and I'm not going to go over it again, but I just wanted to remind you sort of, let me move my little head so you can see where we were. And if you remember at the end, I said stop all pinning, right? Make sure you get your foundation right, and make sure you sign up for a scheduler and do all the things. But now we're going to talk about like specifically how to do those things. So this was my last slide from the first presentation. Okay. All right. So first things first, I wanted you to stop all pinning. And the reason why I wanted you to do that is because the single most number one, hugest important thing that you can do for your Pinterest account, even more important than a pin itself, is to clean up your Pinterest account. And what I mean by that is make sure your Pinterest account and your profile is as amazing and, as organized and as the best it can possibly be. And the reason why that is so important is because the Pinterest has a credibility problem, right? Okay, so when a pinner goes on and they type in sparkle wedding dress, right, they need to make sure that they're not giving them wedding invitations or wedding dresses with lace, right? They need to make sure that they're giving the pinner exactly what they're looking for. And one of the ways the little Pinterest bot makes sure that they're giving the pinner exactly what they're looking for is the information that you put on the pin itself, okay? But even more important than the pin itself is your account. So the little Pinterest bot is going to scan your account. They're going to start at the top, at the title and the description and all the different boards and the board descriptions that they have, because the little bot is trying to find out who you are and kind of what you pin about. And so that when the little Pinterest bot goes to show that pin about a sparkle wedding dress, they have all this information and they're like, wait, I have this account that has like a board about sparkle wedding dresses and hundreds of pins about sparkle wedding dresses, and I know all this information about them, and I'm gonna serve them up to this person, okay, who is looking for sparkly wedding dresses. So it's really important that it's your job as the Pinterest owner to tell Pinterest who you are and what you're all about, okay? And the best way to do that is through the base and the foundation that we're going to talk about here. It's through your title, it's through your description, and it's through your boards, okay? So the first thing I want to do is make sure that you have a business account or profile and you claim your website. Okay, so there's like rumors, I think on Instagram too, there's like this worry that if you have a business account as opposed to a personal account, that it's gonna dock you or you're not gonna get as much traffic. That's not true at all. So if you're using a personal Pinterest account, go ahead, there'll be a little button when you log in there to turn it into a business account. And then after you get a business account, you're gonna go through and you're gonna claim your website. I'll show you when we go over there in a second. But you're gonna claim your website. And all this does is make sure that Pinterest knows that your URL or your website that you're pinning to and the website associated with your account is legit, okay? And it helps you and protects you. So super important that you set up a business account and you claim your website. The next thing you're going to do is move all your personal pins to secret or delete those pins, or you're going to make a new account of all your personal pins. Now, listen, I pin a lot personally. I'm pinning recipes. We just did a home construction. I'm pinning lots of home things for our house construction. I love Pinterest personally, right? But if you're going to have that little P on your website, right, and tell people, to go over to Pinterest or that you use Pinterest, you need to make sure that all the pins that is on your business Pinterest is related to your business, okay? And the most important way that we do that is by making sure that all the pins on your business Pinterest account are related to your business, okay? So anything that's personal, like a recipe or home decor, you can either mark it secret, you can delete it, or you can make a separate Pinterest account. It's really kind of up to you. And when we go over there, I'm going to show you how to make it secret. It's really easy. There's a little lock icon, okay? Because it's, like I said, it's just really important that your Pinterest information is on your Pinterest page is related to your business, okay? Because again, the little bot that is scanning through, they don't want to see like a bunch of recipes or home decor because it's confusing the bot, okay? It's like, is this account about recipes or is this account about wedding dresses, all right? So the third thing that you're going to do is you're going to clean up your Pinterest account title and your, that shouldn't say board description, it's the description of your main website or the description of your account, okay? And I'm talking about the title of your account and the description of your account. And again, I'll show you this when we go over there in a little bit. But your description is where, again, like the little bot, it starts at the top. It starts with the title, right? And you get like 100 characters. And sometimes I see people not using the full amount of characters. So make sure you get your keywords in there and make sure you use the full amount of characters that you're giving you. Same for the description. This is not Instagram, right? I see a lot of you copy and pasting your Instagram bio. I see emojis. That I see that you're a wine lover or you like long walks on the beach. It looks more like a dating profile than a Pinterest profile, okay? You want to make the description conversational and approachable, but you want to pack it with keywords, okay? Like I said, it's not Instagram. I don't want to see you copy and pasting your Instagram. I want your description of your account to say who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and most importantly, from a brick and mortar shops, where you do it, okay? And the fourth tip to clean up your Pinterest account is relates to the boards, okay? I don't want to see cute and clever board titles. Sometimes, for example, I see board titles that are a color, like just red or yellow, or I'll see them, maybe it is a board about sparkle wedding dresses, but the board title says all that glitters, right? That's not helpful because, again, like I told you, the little bot is scanning your account to try to find out what you're about. And with the Pinterest pinner, right, or in this case, one of your potential clients or someone who's going to buy a wedding dress for you isn't typing in all that glitters, right? They're typing in sparkly wedding dresses. So you want to have a board's title that is sparkly wedding dresses. So I don't want to see any of these cute or clever board titles. And I'll show you this when we get over there, is that all your boards need to have a description, okay? Boy, I add board descriptions to all boards. I really liking the word board here. So sorry about those typos. So what happens is when you create a board, and I'll show you this in a second, but you have to then go back and add a description. All right. So, and a lot of people miss that step because maybe they're creating a board on their phone on the fly, or they miss it when they do it the first time. Okay. So let me just get out of here, and we're going to go over to, if I can get out. Okay. I'm going to go over to my Pinterest account and show you these. All right. So this is my actual Pinterest account. Let me just move my head down here. And I want to show you these. Okay, so remember I said right here, I have this green check mark. That means I've claimed my website. And it's a pretty simple step. It does involve putting a little bit of code on your website, but they make it pretty easy. Okay? And this here is my where I add my board description, and this is where I add, let me move back up, my board title that I was talking about. So if we go over here to Pinterest, sorry, it gets a little funky when you're trying to record a video and use the internet at the same time. Okay, so this right here is your board title, okay? And I found that by clicking settings, okay? And it's right here. Here it's called display name. And then this is my description, my profile description, whatever you want to call it. And it's right here under about your profile, okay? And then the next thing I want to show you is, all right, how to do secret. So if you're on an actual pin itself, let's just move down. Sorry, these are all my idea pins. In the last video, they've changed the name. They used to be called story pins, but since I made that last video for you, they now call them idea pins. Okay. This is one of my most recent pins. And let's say I wanted to make it secret. Could hit edit, edit pin, scroll down, and you could add it to, you add it to any one of these boards that has a little lock on it, right? So this one was bedroom when I was reorganizing my bedroom, okay? So anything with a little lock on them is secret, okay? Let's go back here for a second, if it'll allow me to do this. This saved button is all of my boards, and you can see at the very bottom of all of my boards, only I can see all of my secret. There they are. They're the ones that have little locks on them. Okay, so only I can see this. All right. So that's that. So the next thing I want to show you is the boards. All right. So let's go back up here. All right. Let's hit create. Oh, just kidding. Let's hit our plus button here. So we're going to create a board. So when you're on the save tab, you're going to hit board. And then we're going to do test. Or let's do our sparkle wedding dress. Okay. Now, for you, you were going to fill this out. Let's do, all right, so look, one more space, so look, all right, you get 50 characters. You want to make sure to use all 50 characters. Now, I did not research this, so I don't actually know. I'm just doing this for the purposes here. So you have a choice here. You can keep this board secret. Remember, we talked about that. All right, so you're going to hit create. All right, then you hit done, and you can see it's now blank. What I want you to do is go back, edit board. There it is. There's your description. This is a test. Okay. Again, you can keep it secret. So you can see, here's my board description. This is a test, all right? Now, I want you to make sure to go back and any boards that you've created, make sure you're adding these board descriptions, because as you can see, it wasn't there when I first set the board up. I had to go back and do it, okay? Board titles, board descriptions. We're going to talk a little bit about this here in the next slide. All right, so let me see if I can get back to the presentation mode. Okay, thank you for coming along with me here on some of this tech. All right, so now I want to talk about 5 ideas for creating boards, because as I said, the foundation is so important, and your boards, the titles and the descriptions are so important. So the recommendation is around 40 to 60 boards. I know, it's kind of scary. I think I have like just a touch over 60. And you want to think about these boards as each one of these boards is telling Pinterest what I'm about. Okay, it's each one of them is an opportunity, right? And so the other thing that you want to think about is each little idea should be its own board. So for example, I'd love to see each of you have a board for each style of wedding dress that you offer, right? So we just did sparkly wedding dresses with sleeves, off the shoulder wedding dresses with pockets, right? Rehearsal dinner wedding dresses, short wedding dresses, things like that. So you can see how you can get to 50 to 60 boards really fast, okay? Boards for each designer that you offer, right? Oscar de la Renta wedding dresses, Inez de Santo wedding dresses, boards for each season, wedding dresses for the fall, wedding dresses for winter, the types of weddings that there are. So destination wedding dress ideas, beach wedding dress ideas, ballroom wedding dress ideas, black tie wedding dress ideas. You can see how you can get to that 50 to 60 boards really quickly. Boards for your business, right? So maybe just a general board about sort of the dresses that you carry, or let's say you're in California, best wedding dresses in California, things like, so make sure you have some generic boards about your business, but then also about your location, right? I live in Washington, D.C., so where to find a wedding dress in Washington, D.C. is a great board to have, okay? Because it's another opportunity to tell Pinterest about who you are and what you do, okay? So those are my quick tips, ideas for creating boards. And you can kind of see with creating like 50 to 60 boards, all with different board descriptions, how important it is to really set that foundation, and how it can be such a big job when you're talking about, doing the pins and doing the boards and, creating all the foundation. That's why I really want you to stop your pinning and do this foundational work, because it can take you a little bit of time to create these boards, do the board descriptions, things like that. And in the long run, having this foundation to be solid is going to help you so much more than anything else you're going to do, even more than the pins itself, okay? And that's why I really wanted to take some time to focus and show you how to do these boards, okay? Let me see if I can. Okay, so now that you've gotten, now that we talked about the boards, right, I want to talk about the specific pins itself, okay? So I have 5 steps to the perfect pin. And so you can see that when you go onto Pinterest, a lot of the pins themselves have words, graphics, logos, whatever you want to call it. I know sometimes it can be tough for some of you to put your wedding dress shop logo on top of a wedding dress, designed by a designer. Maybe it's not your image. I don't know. So I just say when possible, right? Because think about it. If you're the pinner and you're scrolling through and it's a picture of a sparkle wedding dress, the text over, sometimes it's called text overlay. The text overlay or the graphics on a pin can tell you what it is, right? So, ideas for sparkle wedding dresses, or where to find a sparkle wedding dress, or maybe it's not about wedding dresses at all, right? So maybe it's just, some sparkle wedding ideas in general, who knows, right? Or maybe it's a post about wedding hair ideas, who knows? the point is, when you have that text over the image, it's really helpful to the pinner, so to see what's on there. So just try to use words, graphics, logos when possible. Okay. The next thing is you want those pins to be that vertical ratio. They call them 2:3 ratio, or 1000 by 1500 pixels. And the reason why is because it takes up the most real estate on Pinterest, right? So think about, this is my phone real quick. Think about, as a vertical, it's that upside down rectangle, or not horizontal, so vertical like this. And as you're scrolling through, right, that high rectangle is going to take up the most real estate on Pinterest. All right, we talked about this as it relates to the board description, but it also is really important for the pin itself. And you want to use that full title. You want to use that full 100 characters. So for the board titles, it was 50 characters, but for the pin itself, it's 100 characters. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But a big mistake that I see on the pin itself is they don't use the full 100 characters, right? And the same as with the board descriptions. You get 500 characters. That's like a lot of sentences. So you want to say what's in the pin, maybe what they're going to find when they click over, plus some information about your business, right? This is a photo of a sparkle wedding dress that's a ball gown style with thin spaghetti straps, right? We are the best wedding dress shop in California. I don't know. I'm just making this up. But you really want to say not only what's in the pin, but a little bit of information about your business as well. And again, we'll go through this, but you always want to make sure to add the URL or a link to your website, because that's like the best part about Pinterest. I'm going to get off of here and we're going to go, to the pin itself. Okay. Let me get back to my, all right, so anywhere on here, you can hit create pin, okay? I just have this image here on my desktop. Let me move my face. It's not a big deal, but I'm just gonna use it for the purposes of this while we're talking, okay? So here's your title. Let's say this is a sparkle wedding dress, ball gown. And what I like to do is I always like to try to make sure to add my business at the end. That's personal preference. And then you can add some more information. So see right here, it tells you where you're at. We were at 35 characters. So this is where you put your title. This is where you put your description. I'll show you one of mine in a second. But you want to make sure to use your full 500 characters, okay? And then this is your alt text. So the alt text is like when someone's hovering over. It's good for the Pinterest bot, but it's mostly good for people who can't see. They have little readers, and so you want to. What I like to do for my alt text is copy and paste my title and explain what's in here. Now, next is this destination link. And a lot of people skip this, so you want to link it to your website, wherever, and then you can hit. You have to make sure to put it on a board, right? So we would put it on the board. I'm not going to do it because it'll kind of mess everything up. Pinterest does offer this ability to publish it right now or to publish it later. You can schedule up to 2 weeks in advance, but I'll talk about why this is not a good idea to do later. Okay. You can play around and edit, but I mean, that's not really worth it to me. So let me go back to I just want to kind of show you. Oops, saved. Oh, that's my board, sorry. Let me click I created. Scroll down, find my most recent pins. All right. So you can see, use the full title, use the full description. So it kind of says exactly what's in here. And then it says like what's going to be in the post when they click there. And then this last sentence is a little information about my business. Okay. So I like to try to keep it, I like to do a lot of copy and pasting, but I also like to try to use the full amount of titles and the full amount of characters. Okay. So really quick, I want to talk about, see if I can go into present mode. Okay. So that was specifically how to do pins. But I want to get a little bit deeper. We talked about, always adding the link in the URL, and that's something that I see a lot of people forget. Okay, so make sure you are adding that URL in there. And when we start talking about the schedulers in a minute, this is going to be really helpful, because you want to have a place to send the people. Okay, so if you don't send them anywhere, it's like it makes Pinterest no different than Instagram or anything else, right? You want to actually send them to your website. So it's really important that you're adding that URL there. So the recommendation, just like we talked about with the boards, the recommendation is a minimum of 5, no more than 20 pins per day. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory there. I mean, it can feel like a lot to do 20, but here's where this leads really quickly into the next tip, and that is to use a scheduler. And I know there's a lot of schedulers out there. Hootsuite, Later, Planoly, and maybe you're using some of these for Facebook or Instagram, but Tailwind is a program designed for Pinterest. I know that with Tailwind you can do Instagram, but really they originally started with Pinterest, and they are the best platform out there with Pinterest. And you can take one wedding dress image. Let's say you have 5 wedding dress images, and let's say you put it on 5 different boards, right? And with Tailwind, you can do that with one click, right? So say it's a sparkle wedding dress, right? And with one click, you can take that same image, right, with its perfect title and its perfect description, and you can add it to the sparkle wedding dress board. Maybe you can add it to just your general board about wedding dress ideas. Maybe it's a ball gown style, so you're going to add it to the ball gown board. Maybe it's going to be great for beach weddings, so you're going to add it to the beach wedding dress board. And maybe it's like a really good dress for summer, so you're going to add it to the summer wedding dress board. That's 5 boards right there, okay? And so 5 times 5 is 25. With one image, you've now made 25 pins. And I know that's a little bit in the weeds, but this exponential creation of pins is only possible on Tailwind. And it's how you can get to 20 pins, if that's your goal, per day, really fast, really quickly. Okay. And so how to use Tailwind is like a whole other conversation for a whole other day. And certainly once you sign up with Tailwind, they have tons of videos about how to use it. It's very easy, but the reality is, you can take your content and you can exponentially get to lots of pins very quickly. And Tailwind is the only application that can do that. And the reality with Pinterest is, right, like we don't have time, right? I am so overwhelmed with Instagram and dealing with my clients and all the things. And so Pinterest is only possible for me with a scheduler like Tailwind. So I spend about maybe an hour a month kind of scheduling my pins, if that, and then I move on, right? And so I can get a huge bang for my time investment without having to, we talked a lot about this in the previous video, but it's not social media, so you don't have to babysit it every day, and you don't have to engage. And the only reason that Pinterest is even possible for a business like mine is through something like Tailwind. So I cannot stress this enough. Everything that I'm talking about is all made possible through Tailwind. So, and they're not paying me. It's just, this is like such a good program to use. And the 4th tip I wanted to say here is to pin all of your own content. So I know back in the day, it was like you were pinning other people, repinning or saving other people's content. No, you all have so much content. You have so many images. You have plenty of content. There's no need. I'd rather see you not pin at all than pin other people's content. Okay. And then don't pin to other websites. So let's just say maybe you had a real wedding featured that where the bride got the dress at your wedding dress shop, and that was featured on Style Me Pretty or some other blog, and you want to get that out there. You're better off pinning those images and sending them to your website or sending them to your blog post than pinning them and sending them to Style Me Pretty or The Knot or wherever you were featured. Okay, so only pin to your own website, and don't waste your time repinning or saving other people's pins. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Sorry. Okay, so I want to switch gears. We talked about boards, we talked about pins, but now I want to talk about keywords, because keywords are really, they're the key, right? They're so important. And so when I talk about keywords, I'm talking about those different words that you put in the title or the different words that you put in the description, right? And it's like, how do I know what to use, or how do I know the right word to say? Should I call it a wedding dress? Should I call it a bridal gown? Like what's most popular? And so what I will say here is that do not overcomplicate these keywords. Okay, you want to use the words and the phrases that your clients use. And I use this quick story, and I'll tell you guys real quickly here, is I used to work with a caterer helping him with his SEO for his website. And he kept saying, I want to know those words, those special words. And I'm like, listen, your potential clients don't know special or unique inside baseball words. It's simply caterer in Washington, D.C., or wedding food in Washington, D.C. I mean, that's it. It's as basic as sparkle wedding dress with pockets. It's really just that simple. Okay, do not overcomplicate it. Do not think there's some kind of trick words that your clients are using. Like, this is probably the first time they've ever planned a wedding, right? They're calling it a wedding dress. There's no other special word. Okay, so so the two things that I like to do to find those keywords is I like to type it into the Pinterest search bar, and I like to use the Pinterest Trends tool. So let me get out of here, and I'm going to show you this real quickly. Okay. So this is the Pinterest search bar. Let me get out of here. Get out of my account real quick. Go to my homepage. All right. So this is the Pinterest search bar. When you're looking on it on the phone, it's a little bit different, but this is what it looks like on desktop. So you just type. And you want to make sure I'm not searching my pins. You're searching. Oh, did you just see that? Hold on. But if you see over here, you want to make sure you're searching. The reason why it's doing this is because I'm logged in. But you want to search all pins, not my pins. Okay. So you want to search. So let's just say we start typing wedding dresses. Okay. Let's go back. And as you start typing, you can see wedding dresses, simple, lace, vintage, with sleeves, ball gown, mermaid, styles, things like that. So that tells me, if I was doing my keyword research, I would create a simple wedding dress board, a lace wedding dress board, vintage if you carry them, wedding dresses with sleeves board, ball gown wedding dresses, mermaid wedding dress. I would create a board for all these different styles that I carry. I would create a board, a generic board for wedding dress styles. Okay? So it's sometimes just as simple, and you can just kind of type in different things. Okay? Mermaid, sleeves, vintage fit and flare. If you carry cultural wedding dresses, that's different boards you can make. Okay? So I like to just start typing and see what it comes up with. And the second way I like to find keywords is called Pinterest Trends. Okay? So let's go to, boom, Pinterest Trends. Okay. So this is by Pinterest, for Pinterest, done by Pinterest. And you can start typing in a word. So let's say you're saying, should I call it a bridal gown or a wedding dress? So let's type it in. and you can see some of the activity, right? And you can click these buttons, dream wedding dress. You can see how popular it is, okay? And let's try lace, see where that falls. And let's try this, because I get asked this question a lot. Let's try bridal gown. So this tells me that I'm going to use wedding dress, which is in blue, over the word bridal gown. Okay? So this Pinterest Trends tool is pretty cool. The thing is not all the keywords are in here, so just look out for just because it's not in the Trends tool doesn't mean that people aren't using it. It's just this is kind of new, and so not everything's in here. Okay, let's move on here. All right. So let me go back to present mode. All right. So next is like, oh, this is great, but how do I know what to pin? So I'm going to talk about 5 tips for finding content to pin. So number 1, if you're creating TikTok videos, Instagram Reels, Instagram stories, that can all become Pinterest content. It's, you probably took a lot of energy and effort to make that Instagram reel. Okay, go ahead and post that on Pinterest as well. I'll have a note about that in number 3 here, but just make sure that you're not just creating content for one platform. Make sure that you're really using that content in all the places, okay? The next tip is pin to your dress galleries, right? So a lot of the dress shops, you have a particular page on your website where you talk about the different dress styles and designers that you carry. Maybe you even have an actual link or page on your website for each designer. That's amazing. You should be pinning to those pages. You don't always have to pin to your blog. You can pin to the dress galleries or dress designer pages that you have on your website. I know a lot of you carry wedding dresses, right? Obviously. And those dress designers are all doing painstaking efforts to do photo shoots and create images of the dresses. Like, you have access to all those images, right? You should be pinning all of those. Okay, if you carry that dress, the dress designer has plenty, more than enough images for you. You should be using those photos that the designers will provide. Okay. Third tip, and this is kind of gets back to number 1, is find the helpfulness, if that's a word, piece of a content versus the entertainment value. So let's say you're creating one of those like fun TikTok videos or an Instagram reel where you're kind of jumping in and out of the wedding dress. Well, on Instagram, it's like entertaining content, right? It's like fun and funny. But on Pinterest, that might be a sparkle wedding dress or ideas for beach wedding dresses or something like that. So you want to look for the content that's helpful, not entertaining, right? So you can take that same TikTok video of you jumping in and out of a wedding dress, but when you go to repost it on Pinterest, it's not going to be like, the title isn't going to be, dress shop owner jumping in and out of wedding dress. No, it's going to be sparkle wedding dress designed by Inez DeSanto, something like that, okay? Because we talked about this in the first video, is that Pinterest is not a get to know you entertaining platform. It's a how can I help you platform. Okay, so you want to find the helpfulness, right? What would be informative? What would someone type into the search bar to find this piece of content? Okay. So number 4, pin to your old blog content. So I know it's a lot to be creating new blog content all the time, but I know some of you have old blog posts that you've written, right? Like, what is a trunk show? What's a sample sale? What should I bring to a sample or to my wedding dress shop appointment? How many people should I bring? I don't know, any kind of old blog post content that you have, you can pin to that tomorrow, next week, right? Like, this kind of leads into the next tip, but you want to pin that evergreen content, not necessarily upcoming events. So if you have a blog post about what is a trunk show, right? That's called evergreen content, meaning that content is always going to be helpful, right? It stays green all year long. It's evergreen, okay? And so even though that post that you wrote might be a couple years old, it's still helpful. The information's still valid. You can still pin to that, even though the post might be old. Okay. So really go back through your blog archives. If you have any helpful old blog content, if there's something that needs to be updated, go ahead, update it, and then pin to it. Okay. It's helpful no matter what. And you want to really look for on Pinterest to pin that evergreen content. Not the upcoming events. And I'll talk about this in the next video or the next slide about the upcoming events when we talk about the shelf life. But Pinterest, it can take 30 to 45 days for a pin to kind of really get going and in Pinterest. And so if you have these upcoming events like, oh, we're having a, Oscar de la Renta trunk show this weekend or whatever, that's great information for Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, whatever you're using, because those are social media and they're really good to get out there, but it's not great information for Pinterest. Pinterest is really looking for that evergreen content, that content that's helpful sort of all year long, okay? Which leads right into my last slide. Okay. And that, I think this was really helpful. I looked this up the other day for another presentation that I was doing, and that's the shelf life of content. And when you do a TikTok video, it lasts on the content for 90 days, right? Meaning that TikTok is promoting it, getting it out there, putting it in people's, feed for 90 days, right? An Instagram post is 48 hours before your content is drowned out by other Instagrams, other posts, or before Instagram sort of just stops showing it to people. Twitter, it's 18 minutes before your tweet gets lost in the feed and it's like no longer there. Snapchat, 10 seconds. I don't use Snapchat, but my daughter does. I know a lot of people use it, but I just thought it was really helpful. The Pinterest shelf life is 4 months or longer. My number one pin from last week that got the most traffic last week was from August of 2025. I'm sorry. I pinned it on August 25th, 2020. I pinned it 1 year ago. And that was my highest impressions and clicks pin from last week. It was over a year ago. So Pinterest can be so amazing for your business. But it really is that long, slow burn, and it's that long form content, the evergreen content that's going to have the most effect for you. And so I really want to encourage you, use a scheduler and pin that like amazing content that you have, because it's going to pay off for you 4 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. Okay. Again, like I said, my name is Julie. My business is The Garter Girl. Please, I'm just a DM or an email away. My information was at the bottom of all these slides. Please reach out to me. Let me know your questions. And I'm here for you guys. I hope this was helpful, and we will see you next time. Thanks.